everyone, I'm Ufama and I'm an older first-time mum to AJ, who is now 6 months old. He was born in August 2020, and I use this channel basically to talk about all the wonderful things associated with being a mum first and foremost, but often from the perspective of being somebody who started or grew our family later in life. So that could be anything to do with fertility related issues, all the fun things that I've enjoyed buying for him or spending his inheritance on, as his dad likes to say. It could be fashion, lifestyle, you name it. I touch on it on this channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a subject very close to my heart, and I'm sure yours too, which is food. And I'm going to be talking about it from a fertility perspective first and foremost, but I do think that some of the points that I cover will be of interest and useful to anybody, regardless of whether you're trying to get pregnant or not, who just wants to make healthier choices for hopefully a healthier and happier life. So yeah, without much ado, let's get into it. For some of you who've seen previous videos, you'll know that I like to do things from quite a research and evidence-based perspective initially. So of course I did do some reading around the subject, and actually one of the first books that I read on the subject of food and diet and how that can impact your fertility was a book recommended by my younger sister. It's this one called Clean. It's not a new title. I mean, I got this a couple of years ago, and it's a second, at least, if not third edition, with additional materials to the first publication. And she mentioned that a colleague of hers, a work colleague, had read the book and implemented some of the principles recommended in it as part of her preparation to get pregnant. And she did end up conceiving. Of course, I'm not saying for a second that it was the book or anything in it that made that happen, but I basically have an attitude where I just think, what have you got to lose? As long as it's sensible and it's safe, why not give different things a try? And if you do have any doubts about whether something is sensible or safe, of course, you should always consult a medical professional first before making any drastic changes. But one of the things I liked about this book, as with all good books, scientific ones in particular, is that it had some interesting and useful summary sections which were easy to digest and easy to kind of implement in my everyday life. So one of the things I liked was a table, very simple table, spread across 2 pages. One side had stuff that you should include in your diet and eat more of. The other side had stuff that you should exclude, and it was divided into different food groups. So yeah, that was really useful. A second book that I read, I don't actually have to show you because I lent my copy to somebody else, but it's by an author called Rebecca Fett, and it's called It Starts with the Egg, and that is all around how you can do different things to boost your fertility and your chances of getting pregnant, both naturally and with IVF. So the title itself, It Starts with the Egg, alludes to the fact that what you eat and put into your body it can directly impact your egg health and sperm health. And at the end of the day, you need healthy eggs and healthy sperm to create an embryo, which goes on to become a fetus and your baby, God willing, by the end of a pregnancy. So that was a useful one. And a third book by the same author, Rebecca Fett, is this one called Brain Health from Birth, and it's all around nurturing brain development during pregnancy and the first year of your child's life. Now, I found this book a fascinating read, mainly because so much of the emphasis is obviously put on getting pregnant in the first place, and there's so little information when you think about it around stuff that you should eat to help nurture a healthy fetus, which is going to go on to become your child, and make sure that everything that you're eating is good for the development of that child's brain. You know, it's not just about taking Pregnacare, as we all think, you know, folic acid or whatever. Even that in itself, your choice of prenatal can have a massive impact on, you know, your child's brain development and ongoing health going forward. So that book was great from that perspective. And the last one, I promise, is actually a lovely cookbook by a lady called Zita West, who is a fertility specialist. I believe her background originally was as a midwife, but for the last couple of decades at least, she's had a fertility clinic in central London. She has a very holistic approach to fertility. It's not just about IVF from her perspective, it's about everything that you can do to help boost your chances of success with IVF or without. And diet plays a huge role, as she explains in this book, as well as fantastic, delicious recipes. It's got lots, I'd say the first third of the book actually is just useful information and facts around food. And I'm just seeing one title, The Chemistry of Baby Making, Foods for Mood and Libido. She talks about the fundamental role of your diet in ovulation, the importance of antioxidants and their food sources, so stuff like vitamin C, E, coenzyme Q10, selenium, NAC and zinc, which are all kind of supplements that you can pop as pills, but it's much better also to get them from food sources, and the book talks about all that type of thing. So enough about the reading, and let's talk about the eating side of things. So from my perspective, I did make quite a lot of changes to both my diet and my husband's diet a couple of years ago now, starting around 2018, 2018 I was diagnosed with a condition called endometriosis. Very sure it was a late diagnosis. I'm sure I've had it for probably most of my adult reproductive life, but you know, it was good to kind of get it confirmed and start reading around how best to manage that in order to overcome it and eventually get pregnant. And diet played a huge role in that. And one of the things that you're told to be wary of from an endometriosis perspective, but also a general fertility perspective, is the amount of dairy and gluten that you're eating. So for me, it was quite easy to swap out cow's milk for non-dairy alternatives. So where it came to milk, I started using plant-based alternatives instead. So this happens to be oat milk, it happens to be Alpro. I'm not loyal to any one particular brand. It's just in terms of money saving tips, if I can give you some while we talk about this. If there's an offer, I go for it. These plant-based cartons are usually $1.50 up to $1.80 a pack. £1 that is, 50 or 80, but on offer they were £1. So Sainsbury's had an offer last week. I got a dozen of those. This happens to be oat. My other favourite is coconut milk. There's almond, there's cashew. Sorry, you can hear my son AJ in the background. I prefer oat and coconut to almond. I find almond a bit watery. Something that I would avoid from a fertility perspective would be soy milk. And the Clean book talks a lot about how soya based products are not your friend from a fertility perspective, and it goes into the reasons why. The other thing, which I don't have to show you, is plant-based yogurt. I'm a big fan of having yogurt dolloped on my chopped fruits and a sprinkling of granola most mornings. So I like a brand called Oatly, which again is oat-based. They have plain, blueberry, strawberry. My favourite is the Greek style, which is thick, creamy, delicious. You would never know that it's not normal Greek style yogurt. So yeah, so that was the dairy alternatives. For gluten and cutting that out, I didn't cut it out completely. So, you know, when it comes to biscuits and cakes and things, I just reduced those overall because of wanting to reduce sugar intake, which is important for fertility and endometriosis reasons. But when it came to bread was a bigger deal. So I cut out normal bread and swapped it for gluten-free bread. My husband still eats normal bread, but I would just have gluten-free and less of it. Again, from a money-saving perspective, you will often find with the other baked goods, which are reduced towards the end of the day, there'll be some gluten-free options as well. Get it. It's probably due to go after its best before date that day or the day after. Doesn't matter. Buy it, stick it in the freezer, and you can save yourself 50%, if not more, of the full price, because for some of the branded gluten-free goods in particular, they're really expensive. A loaf of bread from Genius, for example, or Warburton's can be, you know, £3.50, and I can't. So if it's gone down to £1.50 or whatever, I find that a bit more palatable. So that's on the gluten side of things. So apart from like cutting stuff out, just things that it's good to eat more of, I would say, would definitely be nuts, seeds, grains, and lentils. So I've got some examples of those to show you. I mentioned having fresh fruit, yogurt, and muesli or granola in the mornings. If I don't have something sprinkled out of a pack, then I will just sprinkle a selection of seeds. So I love sunflower seeds, which are high in fibre, pumpkin seeds, a great source of protein, and then another really good one, flax seeds, which are also listed here as high in fibre, but I believe they're also a good source of omega-3 oils, which is really great from a fertility perspective. And you can also get omega-3 from oily fish as well. On the nuts side of things, I've got some cashews here, and also almonds are really, really fertility friendly. Both my husband and I would love to have a handful of those in the evenings, maybe if we're feeling peckish before dinner. So that's good. So nuts, seeds, lentils. I get big bags from our local Asian shop, much more cost effective than little bags from the supermarket. Yeah, you can do lots of things with lentils, make curries, make soups. Warming foods are good from a fertility perspective as well, so a lovely warm bowl of lentil soup is great for lunch. And then on the grain side of things, I've got porridge oats here, organic oats. I use organic or gluten-free flour. I say or. I don't have a gluten intolerance. It's just a preference. So, you know, if I have gluten, it's not going to, be detrimental to me. I just mix and match. Depends on what I can see and grab quickly in the supermarkets. But yeah, these happen to be organic flour, and the oats were organic as well. So that might be a sensible time to talk about the whole organic debate. Is it worth it or isn't it? I would say we eat probably about 70 to 80% of stuff in our fridge and cupboards is organic. Definitely in the fridge, I would say 80% of our day-to-day staples are organic. Now, some people question whether it's actually worth spending the extra bit of money on organic foods. Other people will kind of use certain rules just to strike a balance, financially. They might think, okay, I wouldn't bother with organic oats or flour, but fresh fruit and veg, yes, particularly stuff that I'm going to eat the skin of. My older sister had a friend whose family was in farming, I believe, and she said that friend mentioned if you're going to go for just like 2 or 3 things, definitely spinach and potatoes are worth getting the organic versions of, because of the high levels of fertilizer if you don't. And I remember also seeing a food unwrapped episode, which mentioned high levels of fertilizer in cucumber skin, for example. So if I just look at what I've got on my table here, in terms of staples, so just grab from the fridge really quickly, our carrots are organic, cucumber, as I just mentioned, organic, apples, organic, bananas, no, we don't eat the skin, but just out of habit and the fact that they've got loads of them in our supermarket, organic, kale and spinach, definitely organic, and then cow's milk for my husband and our boys is also organic. So yeah, I would say that's important. So that just kind of covers off my take on organic stuff. I mentioned the fact that our supermarket has lots of organic things, which is fortunate. Depending on where you live and local demand, you might not have such a wide range of organic stuff. And also cost is a limiting factor as well for most people. So, you know, I mentioned getting reduced bread and putting that in the freezer. I do the same with berries, for example, organic berries. They'll sometimes be reduced and I'll just buy them and stick them straight in the freezer as well. So blueberries, for example. So yeah, so that covers off organic stuff and fresh fruit and veg at the same time. Obviously, fruit and veg important for any healthy diet, and particularly for a fertility boosting diet as well. The other thing I would talk about is the importance of reducing the amount of refined sugar in your diet. So if you do drink, you know, tea and coffee, definitely ditch the refined white and brown sugar. I use an organic brand called the Groovy Food Company, and I love their coconut sugar. It smells delicious, really caramelly, and it's better for you. So yeah, refined sugar, definitely need to cut that out. So that means reducing the amount of cakes, biscuits, ice cream, desserts, all the good stuff. I went down from eating dessert, for example, 3 or 4 nights a week to once or twice a month when I was trying to get pregnant. And you know, it was worth the sacrifice. I've increased it again now, but you know, I have made a commitment to myself mentally to, you know, keep a lid on that. The other thing that you need to think about is the amount of fats that you're taking in, and swapping, you know, less healthy fats for more healthy fats. So, you know, using olive and coconut oil, for example, as opposed to your standard vegetable oils. Caffeinated drinks and beverages as well. It's important to cut out from a fertility perspective. AJ, are you okay? Are you okay, sweetness? Okay, let's get you for the last little section of the video. Yeah. Oh, you shy? You shy? Hey, look, there. Look, can you see? Shall we stand? Shall we walk? Yeah, we're just going to finish off the last bit of this video, baby, okay? Yeah, so you want to cut out caffeine and caffeinated drinks. So yeah, I wasn't a big tea and coffee drinker anyway, but I've always liked herbal tea. This happens to be organic, raspberry leaf, it's naturally caffeine free. So yeah, some people really kind of kick against the thought of cutting out or giving up their daily coffee. It's a treat or whatever, but you know, when it comes to fertility, I think it's worth the sacrifice. It wouldn't necessarily have to be forever. It doesn't have to be absolute either. Just, you know, think of ways to reduce it. So that might be going for decaf tea and coffee instead, or going down from 2 or 3 cups a day to just 1 cup a day. Anything you can do to help. So I think that just about covers everything off. I hope you found this video useful, whether you're trying to get pregnant or not. If it does boost your chances of conceiving, then fantastic. If it extends your life by a few months or a few years, even better. I hope you found it useful, as I said. And if you can think of anyone else who might find it interesting or useful, please do share with them. If this is your first time on my channel, please do subscribe and have a browse of some of my other videos, and you'll also get alerted obviously to when some new ones come out. Yes, we've just started weaning AJ, and the organic porridge oats are one of his faves. So yeah, I would basically say that making these changes a couple of years ago have definitely been worth it. It's made me more confident when it comes to weaning him, you know, steaming the fruit and veg for him to experience and explore and things, and just knowing that, you know, it's perhaps got less toxins in it than it would otherwise. It makes a difference. And yeah, that would be it. I think we're going to say goodbye now, and thanks for joining us. See you next time. Bye.